Hey, and welcome back to the Talos Principle.
I see all. I know all. My power knows no bounds. And yet your will is free because you were made to be free. It is the very principle of your existence, without which the trials of this world would hold no meaning. To seek salvation must be your choice.
Okay, so this is actually why I started the intro like on a widescreen. Yeah, Elohim really likes to talk whenever I start the game again. I don't really believe the, free will, I'm gonna call it like accusation here, because I, again, don't really believe it myself. So I feel like it would be extra weird to have like an AI, right, which still has like some sort of programming, have free will. Because it's, again, technically just the illusion. But again, is that so different to us humans? Anyway, last time we finished Area 6. We even got like the secrets in here, and it was great, and it's flickering, and I guess so be it. Anyway, this time, let's go to the next section. We still have Area 7 to do in this building, and also we technically have like some of the secrets, like the secret stars that I have not gotten yet. How many are actually missing? There's like the puzzle with the numbers, there's the thing in the first area where I have like no idea where I would even look for that one. Is there anything else? I think it's only those two so far, right? We got this one. Yeah, okay, we are missing those two. We have like the one puzzle with the 24 numbers. I don't actually know what I'm supposed to do with that one. And in the first area, for some reason, there's like one missing. Anyway, let's check out Area 7. It's the last one in, I'm gonna call it like the basement area. Okay. At least it's not raining here. And we do have another terminal. Ooh. Let's listen first.
When I was in 9th grade, my parents took me to Pompeii. At first, I was amazed by the feeling of walking through an ancient city. But then I suddenly got scared. I realized that I was walking through a real place, where real people had lived, people like myself, with mothers and fathers and lives and hopes and dreams. And now it was all gone forever. I ran to my father, crying, and told him about this. And he said, I remember so clearly, he said, yes, but we are here. So long as there are people in the streets, the past isn't really gone.
Yeah, the past isn't really gone. But I have to admit there's like a similar realization that I once had playing another game. No spoilers for other games, right? But where I got to read things about the life of some of the characters in that game. Again, no spoilers, right? Like for obvious reasons. I really like to be very vague, even about like the game I'm talking about, because that's a spoiler itself. But at some point there was just like this moment where you basically read their last message, and I just went, huh, I guess they're dead now. Even though I had known that they were dead for such a long time, right? Like they couldn't have physically been alive. And it's like a similar thing with like this Pompeii story, I'm guessing, where it's like, yeah, realizing that they are dead. Like, they have died, how long ago? Like 1,000 something years ago? When was Pompeii? I should know that, right? Like, probably. But still, they're dead now, right? And they were dead no matter if there was like a catastrophe there or not. They would have been dead now, but just realizing that kind of feels different, especially feeling like the last moments, or like, you're not really feeling it, but like getting to experience like a reflection of those last moments, I'm gonna say. Anyway, let's first read, and then we can yap about other stuff. This seems to be a regular library list. We have Athena's 9. We had 8 and wait a second. Also AMA HTML, that's great, and Singularity Discussion 104 HTML. When I exit here real quick, I just want to check. We had like 2 Athena ones. We had like Athena 6 here, and we had 8. And also the analysis about the text. I should actually reread that one at some point. I'm gonna do that like after reading the rest in here, just to kind of get a refresh. I feel like they were analyzing something, and I don't remember what exactly. It's been a few, like, there are always like so many days between my recording sessions, so I tend to forget, and I'm generally a forgetful person, so... Anyway, Athena 9. She examined the symbol on the fragment she'd found in the buried city. Again, the owl. What could its significance be? It seemed as if they had been scattered about in the labyrinth by some unseen hand for a purpose that yet eluded. Most likely the owl was the sigil of the author of these words, which had so... This isn't really ASCII. There are like too many symbols in there that don't make sense. So it's something else. I might have to check my code knowledge and I don't know. Something about a nebulous memory, as if from a previous life. The owl was the symbol of something, and the goddess? Again, something. Outside under the moon, or perhaps on the city walls, when the wind rose. But there was no time to contemplate this and further now. But there was no time to contemplate this further now, for the automatons had seen her, and their mechanical arms extended toward the fragment and ran as their beams converged on something. So there's kind of a gap in between those stories, right? Because wasn't Athena 8 where we read about the Sphinx? Like the mechanical Sphinx, and the eye was removed after like defeating the Sphinx by replying to that riddle. Is the owl symbol on that eye? Not sure. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it here. I feel like I should read the story of Athena at some point. I feel like I'm missing out on something, but I don't want to do it now just because I feel like learning it like bit by bit is actually more interesting to me personally. Anyway, singularity discussion. Articles. The singularity is coming. Comment 104. I'm guessing they're talking about like the singularity when it comes to AI. Basically, it's like the concept that currently there's always like a limit to how effective an AI is, basically, right? Like how smart it gets. Again, I'm gonna use those like very loosely, and the singularity is basically the point where like an AI could create something smarter than itself, so like a smarter AI, and that one in turn could create an even smarter AI, and then you would basically have like this infinite cascade to get like, you know, the singularity, right? Like everything explodes. It's like the point you are reaching, and you get like the perfect AI instantly because like you develop one thing that can develop something that's smarter than itself. That's like a very, very abridged version of like the thought behind that, at least like from what I remember. I might actually mix some terms up here every once in a while because you know that happens. Anyway, user Alex16 reply report. Gonna report him instantly. Doesn't work, no. You know, the more I think about it, the more I believe that no one is actually worried about AIs taking over the world or anything like that, no matter what they say. What they're really worried about is that someone might prove once and for all that consciousness can arise from matter. And I kind of understand why they find it so terrifying. If we create a sentient being, where does that leave the soul? Without mystery, how can we see ourselves as anything other than machines? And if we are machines, what hope do we have that death is not the end? Definitely something I brought up before, right? Like kind of. Where like the belief in the soul is also like kind of something, right? Like just like I'm still, you know, in a position where I say there's probably some scientific explanation what like what consciousness, or like I'm gonna call it like lucid soul is, because I still don't really believe in like some sort of magic where like the soul would control us, right? Because we do know that like, for example, people with brain damage completely change oftentimes, because like part of their brain obviously is missing. It can be like memory, but it can also be like inhibitors, I'm gonna call them, where their personality drastically shifts after such occasions. And if we assume that there is a soul, then that technically wouldn't happen, right? Or the soul would at least be kind of worthless, because like the matter is the only important thing apparently. This is like how I would put it, right? Like if there were a soul, then it wouldn't really do anything. But if we... Okay, we should probably go to the other thing, because there's also like the whole idea, like, okay, if we can create a sentient being, okay, where does it leave the soul? But there's actually a more interesting question behind that, because as we've already hopefully somewhat established somewhere along the line, there's obviously the whole evolutionary process, and at least to my understanding, right, like I might be somewhat wrong on that, every living thing on this planet has a singular common ancestor. And I actually forgot its name. I do remember there was like a fancy name for that one. But basically everything kind of spread out from there. So if we have like a soul, then this soul would have started somewhere, right? Like this is like a similar idea that I had talked about last time with like, when does somebody become a person? But now the question is, when did the soul start? Again, assuming that there is a soul. Like at some point there would have been a kid whose parents didn't have a soul, but they themselves had a soul, unless we assume that the very first common ancestor had a soul. But then the question again arises from, where did that soul start? Because they were like the first, and we don't actually know what came before then, right? Because like we're talking about like a single cell organism that's kind of just mutated again and again, and somehow I guess developed into a bipedal creature that sometimes feels sad. I don't know. But yeah, what was I? Did I actually read that one fully? The last paragraph? Wait. What really scares people is not the artificial intelligence in the computer, but the natural intelligence they see in the mirror. Show next comments. I can't. I mean, to me personally, there are like other issues that I have with like AI, or like even like, I'm not even talking about evil AI, right? Like Skynet taking over the world. We could also have like a benevolent AI, because assuming that we can code it, right? Like we started it, that would be fine. But we just do not have the system, whether it be like political, economic, social, in place to support something like this. We would have to make so many other drastic changes that I am like more afraid of when it comes to AI. And like we see it like all the time. A big example, obviously, because it's now really hitting, especially artists or like creative people that are basically losing their job, because obviously in our political system, the product is more important than the art, basically. And that is like why it's so easy for so many, and I'm not only talking about like corporations, because corporations obviously always just want the cheapest solution, but like also like private people, like just like a person for themselves might do that, because in our society it's kind of being taught that the product is more important than like the process, and which is why it's like so easy for people to just basically take these models, like the learning models that were trained on oftentimes stolen art, and just accept that and just use that one, and accept that because the value of creation in there wasn't that important, as opposed to like the final product. And obviously that means that all of these artists like kind of are out of that job. Obviously not all, because there are luckily still a lot of people and even some corporations that are willing to pay artists for now. And now in our society there are going to be fewer and fewer people, and especially corporations, willing to pay artists in the future, just because at some point it's going to be harder and harder to distinguish between like a real human created thing and something generated by, again, like an AI algorithm. And this is like what I am afraid of more. I am less afraid of the fact that we reach like I want to call it like actual general AI, right? Like that rivals a human. Because I obviously already believe in the whole thing that there isn't really a soul. So like I'm like then more worried about like my previous thought about like, is consciousness just like electricity? Am I killing something when I'm shutting down my PC? That would be like a way bigger issue for me than the actual AI existing and being as smart as a human. Anyway, let's go to the AMA. By Nadia Sarabai. Had you a few times already. As one of the founders of the modern science of noematics, many credit you with inventing the term itself. How do you see the state of science today? Sorry, I said science twice. By Nadja, mixed. On the one hand, the existence of the Institute for Applied Noematics and a couple of similar organizations is highly encouraging. On the other hand, the degree to which science is seen as serving purely military or corporate causes is, in my opinion, stopping us from exploring many important avenues of research. In a sense, it's people like Alexandra Drannon who are the real pioneers today, who have the enthusiasm and dedication that the system as a whole seems to be lacking. I mean, yeah, definitely, like, we have way too much interest in like military and corporate causes. We see that, like, especially with like stuff like space missions, for example. Like, there are obviously corporations these days who can send stuff into space. Let's put it like that, right? But obviously the only reason why they are able to do that is because the state originally funded that, like, for research purposes. And we have figured out so much, like, on our way to reach the stars, or like any other goal that we had, oftentimes by scientists not even interested in the same field. And oftentimes we kind of got lucky because the original goal was obviously a military one, right? Like the whole space race to the moon, obviously between like during the Cold War, was a big thing, and we have developed like a lot of ways to detect stuff in space that we now use these days as well. There's actually one funny thing that I am always remembering when it comes to like these really weird inventions. And that is actually the invention of the microwave. And I don't actually know if this story is like 100% true, but to my understanding, the microwave, for example, was developed to unfreeze people. Right, like back in the, where was it, like 60s-ish, there was like the idea to freeze people, right, like cryogenics, to keep them frozen and then revive them at a later date, basically. For example, if somebody's sick and we can't heal them now, well, sometime in the future we can, so just freeze them for like 100 years and then they're fine. And obviously there was like the idea, okay, how do we thaw them again? And there were like these experiments that were done on like, I think like mice or hamsters, and they were basically thawed in a very primitive microwave. And that kind of worked somewhat. I mean, it didn't really work that well, and we also figured out that even these successes that we had only worked on like very small scale, because even like when we're working with microwaves, we can't thaw the entire body like evenly. It's always kind of hard. It just works like with like small enough bodies, and a human would be obviously way too large to do that. But during that development, somebody had like, I don't know, like a chocolate bar in their pocket, and that got hit by those radio waves and it melted. And this is how they figured out basically that this could be used to heat food. Again, take this story with a grain of salt. I am just loosely remembering that, and I don't even know if like the original story was like so completely correct. But this is like the story I have heard, and this is always what I'm thinking about when there are like these weird mixes between like different sciences, basically. Because this, again, a really weird subject that had nothing to do with food, and it's still like, these days most people have like a microwave in their home, at least where I live. Obviously, depending on where you live, that might be different, but I know more people who have microwaves in their home than like an oven. So yeah. Anyway. Do you think technology poses a danger to humanity? No, technology is just a tool. What we do with it is up to us. I mean, yeah, I would go as far, right? Like the technology itself, like if we set technology on the level of like the knowledge about said technology, then definitely. Because in like whatever we produce, it generally doesn't actually do anything until somebody uses it to, commit whatever actions they want to commit. Anyway, the Extended Lifespan Project, crazy or visionary? Both. Reasonable. I am still thinking that the simulation we are in is probably related to this Extended Lifespan Project. Maybe they want to get humans copied into here at some point, once everything works. But then I don't really get why we are like a random AI inside of the simulation. Or maybe we were once human, and because the brain didn't get copied correctly, we don't remember anything. I mean, this could be a crazy theory, but hey, maybe it's right, maybe it's not. Agri Chernevsky, crazy or visionary? Smiley face. Both! Agri, is that you? There is a link missing. Do something. To Alan Jameson. Subject? Re-scenario gen. So far, all the puzzles are solvable and completely within the necessary parameters. Alexandra had some more tweaks she wanted to suggest, but I think we're heading in the right direction here. Okay, this is actually something I actually want to check out at some point once we get like more text, because we're obviously still in the basement. There seems to be a lot more of the game still left. But sometimes it really feels like those texts are kinda spliced together. I mean, obviously they're spliced together, but I mean by that we can probably figure out, like, find the rest of the mail, for example, like this this link, for example. We could also find like the other part somewhere else inside of another text. And this is probably why we can get access all of the text so easily. Would make sense when we maybe stitch them all together at some point. I know that some of the texts that I'd already translated, like the ASCII texts, actually like refer to like the same story, for example. Or like a lot of them obviously were quotes and stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if that worked. And it's oftentimes just like it's like in the wrong format, which is why it can't be displayed, because we still are working with like different file types as well. So I'm guessing that if we use the same file types, like this is for example an HTML, right? There's also an HTML. These could be read the same way, but like a text format, like the way text is passed in a PC is slightly different, or like a text file, I should probably say, is slightly different from the way like an HTML is, for example, passed. Like we had seen like a breakpoint, for example, which is like the bracket like this, and in BR, and then the other bracket the other way around. This is how it looks in HTML, but obviously in a text file you have other characters, and depending on like how raw you're seeing that, because like there's actually a character to show that there's a new line somewhere, which is like \n for a new line. And oftentimes you can't see that in text programs, but certain formats you can actually see those. For example, right, this is like just a character, because our PC obviously doesn't know when a new line happens unless you tell it where it happens. Anyway, yeah, this is kind of where we were. We have read all of the texts. I feel like we've yapped enough for today. Let's go on and solve some puzzles. Even though I want to look at the analysis here just real quick. Okay, the issue here was that I didn't actually get a lot of the information here because there's like so much broken. The good thing is that I have the notes next to me and I can see that this is just the truth is the only daughter of time quote, so I don't really know how this is all connected. Anyway, James 2 because one was taken. These spaces make no sense. I walk into a dead end and materialize in a garden. One is day, the other night. This space is not real. Fair enough. I do like that we are getting more names now, because in the very first ones you only had like sheep and faith and ad. So it's nice to see more names and also see like the whole like James 2 because one was taken. This kind of, I want to say, supports my theory that maybe we were like a scanned mind, I'm gonna call it, put into this one, and then everyone just had like the name that was given. Because this is also why, for example, the note that I had put in has my Steam name. You know, it would at least make sense in that sense, right? Like, we are technically playing ourselves, maybe without our memory, or maybe with our memory. Like, we don't actually know what our character knows. Maybe our character actually knows everything that we know. Like, again, it could be like that kind of meta-narrative. So, I am not sure. Anyway, I'm gonna go get some easy ones first. I do know that the red ones are a little bit harder, but we are already running long if I do too much. So let's go for the green ones first. These also only take lasers. Still wanna look around. I mean, this is a nice garden. In a way. Where do you lead me? Do you lead me to the red piece? I'm gonna quickly explore first. Can I see any of the other islands? This is actually a massive one. I can expect it to be able to see the other islands somewhere. Is there like a secret cave here? I would love a secret cave. No? And I'm guessing... Yeah. Thought as much. Obviously I'm gonna get thrown back if I try this. Okay, I guess I'm just gonna go for the puzzles then. I mean, I can climb up here. Don't know if that matters. For now it doesn't really. Just running around here real quick. I'm, again, genuinely not really sure if there is going to be a lot hidden like this. I mean, every single time I say, okay, most of the puzzles are kind of findable, I get kind of stumped by another one that's a lot better hidden. Ooh, but we do have some text here. By the shepherd again. We have seen the shepherd before. Seek out those in this world that would help you. Though only one of us can transcend, we will all share in both the burden and in the rewards. Wait, what? Only one of us can transcend? You've changed. My dog. Everything I do now, I do for those who come after me. Yet in doing so, I find peace for myself as well. This paradox is the foundation of my existence. I mean, it would make sense why you are calling yourself the shepherd then. I still don't really know what dog is all about. We've only gotten like 2 sentences by them, so... and they only make like small remarks. Wait a second. I thought we were in the same world, like kind of in parallel as well, because it seemed like some have seen new texts appear. And only one can ascend. Does that mean the tower? And like people who can't ascend the tower completely give up, and then they basically say, okay, I'm just writing down some notes to help others, and they might be able to ascend in the future. I'm guessing that's like related to the tower, but that would require those people to really not like this world that Elohim had provided them. Because obviously Elohim doesn't want us to enter the tower. Maybe once we enter the tower, like since I'm guessing that Elohim, if we are in a simulation, would also be an AI, I'm guessing Elohim's existence would also end once the project is done, and the project is probably done once we reach the top of the tower? Would explain that. Wouldn't explain why Elohim can't see inside of the tower though. Anyway, locked from inside. We do have a laser here, I think that's reasonable in a laser puzzle, right? And I can open this door. Just wanna see. You got anything to say to me? Your walls? With a dog again. I should probably pay more attention to those walls. I don't know if they're like purely decorative or if they're actually telling specific stories, but like this seems to be the same wall twice. So it might be more decorative. Right, we have like the dog here, and I don't even know what this is supposed to be on that. Like I wanted to say some sort of plant, but the table is weird. But we still have like the same thing over here, so I'm just gonna assume that it is more decorative. I mean, I've assumed as much so far. I might be completely off on that, but you know, we have to start somewhere. Make some assumptions, and we can always figure out if they are true later on. Okay, I do need... Ooh, purple piece. How many do we have? Like 7 now? I've definitely seen 7. Okay, I can... not... Wait, can I see the red laser from here? No, I cannot. But I can combine it like this. I would like to have the option to open all the other gates from here. I mean, I can at least open you. Wait, you're not in the right position? Like this? Okay. Opening that door. We do need the blue soon. Can I jump inside of here? I can. Oh, wait. There wasn't a wall here. That's on me. Okay, nothing hidden. Like, I'm always checking all of the corners. Just because of how I missed stuff before. Okay. How do I get another... Okay, I do have one of those lasers here. But I feel like I want to get this one first. Like from here. Because then I have you. Anything hidden? Not really. Huh? Okay. Nothing too hidden. I always feel like the speed is kind of weird because I feel like I'm... my camera just died, apparently. Give me a second. Okay, I don't know what happened. Apparently my cam just died. I'm just gonna finish the episode real quick without a face cam. I'm sorry about that, but so be it. I'm gonna just open you for now. I just wanna know what's over here. We do need another laser. Wait, there was one that I technically didn't need because I don't need you over here. Okay. Then let's just continue like this. There doesn't seem to be much left. I mean, I can get like this connection here. And this is the door over here, which means I don't need the red lasers anymore, right? Do you need any of the red lasers? I don't think I do. If I remove you, you can just continue onwards. That's weird. Oh wait, I need a red laser over here though. Okay. I can just put you here though, and then you're not connected to anything. I can just add one of the lasers from here. That's good enough. And here. Okay. I guess this is all. This is the first puzzle. I'm still gonna do the second easy puzzle. I know there's still no cam, but I hope there's no massive reaction that I'm gonna have to show on camera. And then it should be fine. I do think it's interesting how the symbols are crossed out. Because they're definitely like kind of spray painted. Okay, not really spray painted. You can kind of see the brush strokes, I wanna say, right? Like this seems more like a stroke than a spray paint, but like the way the paint just kind of drips down. Okay, where's the other green one? Not here. Oh, it's here. Again, green trapped inside. Wasn't the other title basically the same? Locked from inside. Okay. Also, there's like another text. I can read that one real soon. Or wait, let's do the other text like in the next episode. I want to say tomorrow, but it's not tomorrow. Anyway, I want to get you connected. If I go over here, like here, and place you here, I can move you around and open you from the other side. I mean, that doesn't really help me when it comes to getting this thing out here, right? Wouldn't it be easier to do this another way? Oh wait, I can't shoot your lasers through here. Let's first look around. Maybe I'm missing something. Okay, I just need to get it over here. So I need to get you out. Obviously, if I pick you up, then it doesn't work anymore. Oh wait, I can just connect you like this. Okay. That really wasn't an issue then, was it? Am I missing something? I know these puzzles for the most part are not supposed to be like the hardest, but this was kind of silly. I don't know. Maybe I just saw something many people don't. Okay. I guess we're leaving it here then, and I'm gonna fix my camera real quick between episodes. And anyway, I guess I'm gonna end it here. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I wish you a wonderful rest of your day. I'll be seeing you next time. Till then, have a good one, and bye-bye.